How's it going, guys? Chips here with you again, and today we are in the brand new map Crystal Isles, which launches on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One today. So in this video, guys, I've been snooping around a little bit on my PC on the map already, and I have picked out 15 locations that I think will make really cool building locations. Now, some of them are large, some of them are small, some of them you could definitely use as an overall base location, really all of them you could. But my main goal for this was to pick out some locations that I think would be better for building a unique base, something really cool rather than just, a big large open area where we could throw our entire base at. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys all 15 locations I've picked out so far, and I'll also give you a little bit of an idea on what I'm thinking you could do with that location. So with all of that said, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into it. Alright, so our first location is at 53.5 by 61.0, and you can see it there on our map. And I have decided to call this location the Red Forest Lake. And this lake is surrounded by beautiful red trees. We have a nice waterfall, some nice big red crystals there on the side, more trees all around it. Up here on the top of the waterfall, we have two relatively flat areas where we can build, and then we have another area down here. And what you could do is you could build your base kind of up here and have a bridge going across the waterfall, and right across from your base you would have this beautifully epic looking volcano type scene. Now, the one thing about this spot is it is a spawn for both crystal and phoenixes. However, this entire mountain is littered with crystal and phoenix spawns, so I don't think it's that big of a deal if we use this spot for our base. Our next spot is located at 55.4 by 57.9, and again, you can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this just the small hilltop. This is a smaller spot meant maybe for like a smaller tribe where you're not really trying to build a huge base. If you come into the hill here, you could build a pretty decent sized house inside of the hill, and then you could even stretch that out and have like a balcony sitting out here on this flat spot of the hill where you could land your flyers and whatnot. Now, do be careful over here on that spot is an explorer's note, so you would need to leave that open for other members of your server, and you can see there is no way up here, so this would be a flyer's base, definitely. But you would have to keep most of your teams cryoed because of the small location. But the good thing about this is the view. Look at that view we have of this volcanic mountain range and the red forest. So our next location is located at 63.0 by 51.2. Again, you can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this the Hillside Lake. So you see we have a large lake there in the center and is surrounded by some pretty large hills all around the side of it. So if we come down here, you can see it's very deep, very large. What I like to do is put some of my water tames in there and let them swim around. If you go up to this top hill here, it's a pretty flat area where we could build our main house or our main base. You also have two areas down here. You have this one over here where you could add another structure. And of course, down here by the lake, you could add another structure down there. And there are only two ways up here, so you just have to block off those two paths. And luckily, nothing really spawns up here that you would need to protect yourself from, so you're pretty safe up here. And if we go ahead and we head up to the top of our main, where our main base would be, you can see we have an awesome view of the desert, of the forest, just a great all-around view. This next base location is at 48.3 by 79.9. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this Floating Island 1 because we're going to have multiple. So the floating islands is going to be a very popular area, so make sure you get to these base locations quick and get them before they get taken. You can see we have plenty of floating islands you can choose from, but I really like this one because there's a lake in the middle of it. There's also these smaller floating islands connected and floating around it that you could use to put other structures on, like watchtowers. And then you have the large flat area on top and another large flat area down here at the bottom with a nice little waterfall there and a river. It's just a really nice area, multi-leveled, could definitely be used for a lot of different things. So this next location is at 54.6 by 78.0. Again, you can see it on the map, and I'm calling this one Floating Island 2. So again, this is probably going to get taken pretty quick, so make sure you get here and get these bases as soon as you can fly. So you can see here, it's kind of similar to our last one. We have a large flat area here on top where we can build our main base. And then again, I really like this. We have these smaller little islands floating around it where we can build watchtowers and whatnot, or smaller structures on top of those. I almost like this one better because we have a nice view of the floating islands over there and a nice view of the red forest over here. Our next base location is located at 81.5 by 71.6. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling it Swamp Falls. I'm not sure if this is actually considered the swamp, but it looks pretty swampy. You can see we have 3 waterfalls coming down there. We have a bunch of little platforms here where you could do your structures, build up your base on these platforms, and connect them with bridges or whatnot, or just fly from them. I really like the look of all these flowers and the vines that we have going between them. We have a cool little view of the swamp over here behind us, or this forest type area behind us. And you could even probably expand down here into some of these locations down on the ground if you want to make a bigger base. I just think it's a really cool location. I really like the way the vines look. Our next base location is at 66.7 by 73.4. Again, it's there on the map, and I'm calling this the Swamp Thick. Now this one is a little bit different. We have this large swamp-like tree here, but if we zoom out, you'll see that we're just kind of right in the middle of what is a swamp area. Now luckily this area is pretty safe. I don't think that much spawns around here you'd have to worry about, but you would probably have to build up some walls or just be okay with your structures being out in the open. But I really like the look of this area, it being a large open swamp. I think it's a really unique idea to build like swamp type structures in this area. It's something I've always wanted to do that I've never really done. And I don't know, it just kind of gives you this like creepy feel looking at it. I think you could really, make a unique looking base in this area. Our next location is 70.9 by 77.4. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this the floating tree. Now this tree is not actually floating. You can see that there are some vines and rocks tying it down to the ground, but it still kind of looks like it's floating. So you can see what I'm talking about there, and then we have this large tree on top. I think it looks really cool with these twisting vines going down to the ground. You have some other floating islands around us here that you could also build on if you want to, but this main island is pretty big, and you could add plenty of structures around the tree. And what I think you could do is you could kind of tie them into the tree to make them look like they're a part of that giant tree. Our next location is at 72.3 by 57.3, and you can see it again on the map, and I'm calling this one the Desert Plateau because we're building it on top of a plateau here in the desert. So you can see here we have one way up into this location, and then it's a pretty large, flat, mostly flat area where you could add plenty of structures, desert themed stuff. We have some really nice looking trees and crystals that we could leave here for the look. And then there are actually some better spots here in the desert we could build on over there in the distance. However, that is also where the wyverns and griffins spawn, so we can't really build over there and be safe. So we're going to go ahead and stick with this plateau over here. You can see it's multi-layered. You can add plenty of stuff to it. Our next base location is located at 66.3 by 48.7. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this the Desert Lake. So what we have here is a decent sized lake tucked between these hills here in the desert. We have some moderately flat areas around it, some shelves we could also build on around this area. But the main thing I like is this lake. I think it kind of gives us that oasis type feeling here in the desert where we just have a random lake with some nice trees surrounding it. It would almost be a shame to tear these trees down. Again, this one might not be the biggest base location. This might be for a smaller tribe. Or if you're okay with leaving your tames cryoed, this would make an awesome base. Now at 62.9 by 32.4, again, it's there on the map. We have our next spot, which I'm calling the Crystal Hilltop. So the reason I'm calling this, you'll see we have a few crystals up here, right there. You can see them. What I really like about this spot is, one, it might be one of the highest points on the map. You can basically see everything. We have this nice flat spot up here where we could build our base. We have a crystal waterfall right here, which looks amazing. And then if we come down in here, you actually have a pretty flat area down here where you could add some more structures and build up a bigger base. You do have some metal and crystal that we would be losing, but you can find metal and crystal all over this base, so I'm not really that worried about it. The waterfall comes down into a little bit of a lake even. This is just a really beautiful, I love the look of the crystals. Beautiful area. Our next spot is at 37.3 by 08.8. You can see it there on the map, and we're calling this the Redwood Plateau. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am a little bit disappointed with the redwoods on this map. I think some of our past maps have had much better redwoods, but I'll go ahead and show you this location anyways. So what we have here is just basically a big open area here. It's moderately flat where you could build a large base here in the redwoods. We have some cool crystals mixed throughout it, a little bit of an outreach over there, and then we have a view of this almost toxic ocean here on the back of it. It's just a big open area where we can build a pretty large base here in the redwoods. Our next location is at 37.4 by 50.8. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this the Snow Lake. So the point of this one, we have this large lake up here in the snow area, and we have some pretty decent areas all around this lake. You'll see we have some spots over here where we could build. We have some spots over here where we could build, a little bit of area over there, and we have this large mountain in the background. Really big lake here in the middle with some waterfalls going into it. I think this is probably the best location you're going to find if you want to build in the snow area. Next, we are at 76.2 by 20.3. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this location the Small Islands. So this is over in what is kind of like the Crystal Lakes area, and the specific point that I'm picking out is this little set of islands here. You can see we have a large one, a medium one, a small one, and even some tiny ones all around it. And then we have that archway there in the middle. And the idea I have for this area on what we could do for our build is we could put structures on each of these islands and then connect them with something like bridges, or we could just fly between them. But I think it would be really cool to build up this area, add some structures on each of these islands. So for our last one, we're at 35.2 by 65.4. You can see it there on the map, and I'm calling this the Cherry Blossom Lake. So we have this beautiful lake with some fallen cherry blossoms in it. We have cherry blossom trees all around. We have some flat areas all around, these beautiful mountains up above us. We have some shelves over here we can build on, a large flat area over here that we can build in. There's another smaller flat area over here. There's a little waterfall going down over here. This entire area is just beautiful. It's definitely my favorite spot so far that I've seen. So of course I had to save this as the last spot we show off in the video. But guys, I'm sure a lot of people are going to want a spot like this with the cherry blossoms, and this is probably the most beautiful one in my opinion. So make sure you get this spot quick on your server before somebody else takes it ahead of you. So alright guys, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the 15 locations that I showed off. I hope you find one of those that you're able to use. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. That helps me out a lot. It helps get my videos out there. It helps my channel grow. Leave me some comments on what you think, which location was your favorite. And if you want me to find some more locations, I can definitely hunt down some more and make another video of some more locations. Also, guys, I'm probably going to be using these locations that I showed you for some upcoming ARK how-to build videos. So if that's something you want to see, go ahead and check out the channel and subscribe for future videos. So anyways, guys, I just once again want to tell you thank you so much for being here. Thank you for checking out the video, and have a good day.